Hey everyone, so you know that thing we all learned in grade school? The planets go around the sun. Easy enough. But what if I told you that whole picture, the idea of a sun just sitting there totally still, is missing a huge piece of the puzzle? Turns out our sun is on an incredible journey. And today we're going to dive into how we went from seeing it as a stationary king to a cosmic traveler. Okay, so to really get this, let's look at the two big models of our solar system. On the one hand, you've got geocentrism. You know, the old idea that the Earth is the center of everything. We all know that's wrong. But then you've got heliocentrism, the sun at the center. And here's the kicker, that's also wrong. Or, well, at least it's not the whole story. And figuring out why is what this is all about. Just look at this timeline. It really shows you how much things have changed. For like 1400 years, everyone was convinced the Earth was the center of it all. Then, boom, 1543, Copernicus comes along and flips the script, puts the sun in the middle. A total game changer, right? But that wasn't the end of the story. Fast forward to the 20th century, our tech gets way better, and we find out something amazing. Our sun isn't just sitting there, not at all. It's actually on its own massive journey through space. And you really can't overstate what a huge deal this was. I mean, imagine, for centuries you're told the Earth is the big cheese, the center of everything. Then suddenly science says, nope, it's the sun. That idea of a fixed, static sun, it felt like we'd finally solved the puzzle. It became a bedrock of modern science, this picture of a great, unmoving anchor holding our solar system in place. All right, but this is where the story gets really interesting. Because while all this scientific debate was happening in Europe, Earth versus sun, there was this ancient text about 1400 years old from a totally different part of the world. And it described the sun's movement in a way that it just didn't fit with what science was saying at the time. So this text comes from the Quran, from a chapter called Surah Yasin. And it says, and the sun runs, that's the word tadri, to a resting place for it, li mustikararin. Now, the wording here is absolutely critical. It's not talking about a stationary anchor. It's describing something active, something on a very specific journey. Let's dig into these words, because the details really matter here. The word tadri, it doesn't just mean moves. It's more like it flows, or it runs. Think of a river flowing, or a runner on a track. It's got direction, it's continuous. And then there's limomustakaran. This isn't some vague over there. It points to a specific fixed destination, a settling place. So you put them together, and this is the language of a journey, not just a daily spin. So, you can see the problem, right? This creates a really fascinating clash. Once Copernicus's model became the scientific fact, this verse would have sounded, well, wrong. For hundreds of years, the smartest people on the planet were saying the sun is stationary, period. And yet, here's this ancient text talking about a running sun. It was a complete contradiction to the accepted science of the day. Which, of course, brings us to the big question. We've looked at the history, we've looked at this ancient text, so what's the verdict from modern 21st century astronomy? Is the sun sitting still, or is it actually running somewhere? And the answer is incredible. It turns out modern science has shown that our sun is absolutely blazing through space. We're talking about 720,000 kilometers per hour. That is ridiculously fast. So yes, it is, without a doubt, running. The whole solar system is moving with it. And get this. It's not just moving randomly. We know exactly where it's headed. Astronomers have a name for it, the solar apex. It's a specific point out there in the Constellation Hercules, right near the famous star Vega. That's our destination. The entire solar system is traveling toward that precise spot. We've got a direction, a vector. You could almost call it a fixed destination. So, let's just recap what we now know. The sun is definitely not stationary. It's in this massive orbit around the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way. And as it moves, it's dragging all of us, Earth, all the planets, right along with it. And right now, our path is aimed straight for that point we just talked about, the solar apex. And this is where it all comes back around, isn't it? You've got modern science telling us the sun is moving towards a specific point called the solar apex. And then you have this 1400-year-old description of a sun running towards a fixed destination. I mean, the parallel is pretty striking. Okay, but we have to be fair here and ask the tough question. Is this a real connection, or is it just a cool coincidence? Are we just projecting our modern science onto some ancient, poetic language? That's a totally fair point, and it's something we have to consider. So there are really two ways to look at this. On one side, you have the poetic view that says, hey, it's just a metaphor for the sun rising and setting every day. It runs across the sky, it rests at night, simple. But then there's the other side, let's call it the vector view. This argument is that those specific words, tajri and mustakar, are too precise to be just poetry. They point to a literal, physical trajectory, one that happens to line up perfectly with what we know about the solar apex. Now, the folks who support that vector view have some pretty interesting points. First, they say, look, if the author just meant sunrise and sunset, there are common Arabic words for that, like tulu and khurub, but those words aren't used here. Second, that word mustaqar, it really suggests a stable path, a final destination, not just the end of a day. And maybe the strongest point of all, the text never wavered. It always said the sun moves, even when for hundreds of years, the smartest scientists on Earth were saying it was standing still. You know, whichever way you lean on interpreting that ancient text, one thing is for sure. Our scientific understanding of the sun has been completely turned on its head. We've gone from seeing it as just a static light in the sky to this incredibly dynamic engine pulling our entire solar system through the galaxy. Think about it. For so long, we pictured the sun as a king on a throne, just sitting there at the center of it all while we all circled around it like loyal subjects. It was the ultimate symbol of something permanent and unmoving. But now we know the reality is so much more exciting. The sun isn't a king on a throne. It's a traveler on an absolutely epic journey, and it's taking us, our planet, everything we know, along for the ride. We're all on this incredible voyage through the cosmos together. And that kind of leaves you with a big thought, doesn't it? I mean, from thinking the Earth was flat to believing the sun was fixed in place, our most basic facts about the universe have been proven wrong over and over again. So you have to wonder, what things do we believe are absolute facts today that are just waiting for the right discovery or just a new way of looking at things to be completely changed forever?